Hello everyone! I am so excited to share this video with you. It is something that I feel very passionate about and love talking about, so feel free to ask any questions as they arise in the chat. I'm going to talk about how to create and work within the container of the female hormone cycle. I'll also be comparing its various phases to each season of the earth. Before we start, I'll give a brief overview of the male hormone cycle. A lot of daily life and work in general is very focused on the male hormone cycle. And in the morning, testosterone and cortisol are at their highest. So this means that energy is focused, it's very communicative, there's efficiency at completing tasks. And then in the afternoon, testosterone starts to decline, and this results in an interest to start to socialize. So you can think of this as networking and happy hours. In the evenings, testosterone levels are at their lowest. So this is the feeling of like resting on the couch and watching TV and winding down. And we're all familiar with this, like that sort of rhythm of life. I think most of us can be like, yeah, that's a general flow of especially like a 9-to-5 schedule. Those who have a male hormone cycle are optimized within that structure. I want to talk about what the female hormone cycle is like so that those who experience that in their bodies can understand how they might best optimize their biology in accordance with work, specifically for this video, but you can also do, with eating, with exercising. There's all sorts of ways to integrate this information into life. Whether or not you are someone who experiences a female hormone cycle, I believe you can still benefit from understanding this way of working. Our culture is heavily structured around the male hormone cycle of 24 hours. And I think it's important to know that there's other ways of engaging with our work, with our creative process. You might take this information and integrate it with the moon. The female hormone cycle is 28 days. And the lunar cycle is also around 28 days. And this is the time that it takes for the moon to make a full orbit around the earth. I think that's kind of cool. The female hormone cycle is broken up into 4 phases. Each phase corresponds to the energy of a particular season. I'll start with follicular phase, or otherwise spring season. This time is about 7 to 10 days, and it is the phase of new beginnings. I use this time to set intentions about what I want to create throughout my entire next cycle, the 28 days. I generally pick about 1 to 3 big projects that I want to accomplish, and then, I'll map out various steps to take depending on my cycles and my days. I'll make a list of each phase, and we'll go through that list in this video, and then I'll put the tasks best suited underneath that phase, and I'll kind of map out my month. I have a planner actually. Let me just grab it. It's so cool. So it actually has like the different moon phases. Let me see if I can find the full calendar so I can show you what I mean by this. Okay, here we go. So I don't know if you can see this, but you'll see on the calendar I have the different phases color coded. So I have the F for follicular up here, and then it moves into ovulation, luteal, and menstrual. And then I take this general map and I'll actually put what phase I'm in on each day and then put my tasks according to that phase. It looks like a lot of work, but it's actually really aligning for me to do this, and it feels really empowering. I also might start doing things like writing curriculum or a program or, reviewing or adding copy to my website, anything that's really creative. I generally have a lot of energy during this phase. It feels fresh, literally think of how you feel like in spring and what you would naturally do and the energy levels you would naturally have. This is the energy of this phase of the female hormonal cycle. Next is ovulation, and ovulation lasts for about 3 to 4 days, and it corresponds to the energy of summer. During this phase, we have a lot of energy. We are extremely creative, magnetic. We're able to communicate in really unique and clear ways. This is the phase where I will generally try to schedule podcast interviews, live streams. Not only am I typically magnetic or glowing during this time, but I'm also able to explain my ideas or my thoughts really, really well. I might set aside chunks of time in my schedule to film videos or share information in my member portal, anything that takes creative energy, that is a unique energetic signature to my work. The verbal and the social centers of the brain are stimulated by certain hormones during this phase. So this means, like I've been saying, that it's really easy to communicate and be social. I'm an introvert, but I will schedule social hangouts during this time because I know that I have the energy for it. Most likely. I don't like to blanket statement anything, but most likely this is when I feel energetic in my cycle. Think very outward, very bright, like literally the energy of summer. You want to be outdoors, you want to be having experiences, you feel social, flirty. All that stuff is a part of the ovulation phase. Then we move into the luteal phase. This lasts for about 10 to 14 days, and it corresponds to the fall season. During this time, our brain is optimized for tasks and details, and it's really a good time to bring projects to completion. It feels really, really good to cross things off of a to-do list during this phase. I save tasks that don't take a lot of creative energy, but they require a lot of focus at this time. So things like cleaning out my email inbox, bookkeeping, organizing clutter that's built up on my desktop, things like that. Feels really good to take small tasks that don't take a ton of creative energy and cross them off. I also wrap up anything that was started in follicular phase. So I find a bit of closure or pause. The first half of this phase, this is really important to note, you will have more energy to spend with others. So sometimes my social activities will also kind of be scheduled a little bit after ovulation. But the second half of this phase, it is best to focus on self-care, keeping your energy to yourself. Think of this time kind of like the second half, like November. It's getting dark and cold outside. Energy levels naturally start to wane. The last phase is menstruation, and this lasts about 3 to 7 days. Corresponds to the season of winter. Rest, 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 rest. Energy levels are typically really low during this time, especially the first day or so. This is time to clear your schedule of all obligations if possible. If you have a partner, ask them for support, maybe by taking over cooking and doing the dishes and household chores and driving kids to, activities or school. Do as little as you can. Feel free to ask for support and for help from whoever is around you. I don't schedule anything social during this time in general. I find that I don't have energy or momentum to express outward. And I tend to be resentful if I end up breaking this rule, which I have several times. Our hormone levels drop to their lowest concentrations during this phase, and this will result in the clearest communication between the right and the left hemispheres of the brain. So this means it's a wonderful time for reflection. So in general, I might spend some time going through the intentions that I set during the follicular phase, and I'll reflect on those intentions. What worked, what didn't, what might shift in the future, that sort of thing. Really, really good for reflection. Again, think of the winter season. It's a really powerful time to move inward, to cozy up with your journal, to do restorative practices, to take hot baths. This is the energy around the menstruation cycle. And I often hear a lot of language of menstruation shouldn't stop you from living your life, that those who are experiencing menstruation are somehow expressing weakness by pausing and resting, and that if you don't, you are defying that weakness. I am going to push back on this perspective a bit. I feel that this time is incredibly sacred, this time of rest. Our intuition is on point, and we are in a state of deep, deep release. And I want to say that rest and integration are part of the creative process, just as it's part of the female hormone cycle. It's one of the key things that's missing in our society right now is this honoring of rest as a part of creation. Winter season is a part of the 4 seasons. So taking the time to rest, even if you don't do it during your menstruation cycle, work it into your life somehow. I know some people really feel energized during the menstruation cycle. As always, do what's best for you, but just know that rest is really, really important for the health and the well-being of your system, of your nervous system, of your biology, of every part of you, of your spirit, of your soul. Rest is essential. It's not weak. You are not any less than if you take this time to rest. In fact, in my opinion, you are expressing divine strength and honoring your body's biology. We live in a culture of constant productivity and our bodies can't keep up. We are becoming depleted. So whenever you can, rest. Whenever you can, reflect. Make it a priority. So then comes the follicular phase. Once again, and the process starts all over. So I'm going to share an example of how I might lay out a project over my hormone cycle. Let's say I set the intention to launch a course. Follicular season would include setting that intention. Okay, I have this idea for this course, writing the curriculum out, laying out the tasks needed to complete the course that are appropriate to each cycle. So coloring in my planner and then writing down the different tasks and scheduling things according to how my hormones will be on that particular day. Ovulation will include filming the videos for the course because I'll be magnetic and able to communicate clearly, recording any meditations or yoga classes, scheduling podcast interviews, maybe hosting a live stream on Insight Timer or YouTube to talk about the course and share it with the people who are interested in this work. Also, connecting with potential collaborators, going on a walk, talking on Zoom, anything that has to do with being social. The luteal phase would include working on the logistics of setting the course up on a software program, using the copy that I already created in follicular phase to build a sales page for the course, to put it in a certain order, editing videos that I recorded during the ovulatory phase, going over any financials associated with the course, clearing out all the emails that have built up throughout the past 2 phases that I haven't attended to because I've been in such a creative frenzy, issuing payment to the appropriate software companies or people who are a part of the project, and then, just wrapping up any last to-dos associated with the course itself. And the menstrual cycle will include rest, release, and recovery. Taking my hands off of it and letting it be. Offering it up to the universe to take over and for it to get a life of its own without my hand in it. And a little reflection over the past 3 phases of what worked and what didn't, so that I can be informed about planning things and intentional for the future. I've been working like this for over a year now, and it has changed my life. I'm able to honor the natural biology of my body in accordance with the way that I work. I think it's important to understand that for some people, especially those who experience female hormone cycles, not every day is met with the same energy. Every Monday is not the same. Every Friday is not the same. It depends on what hormones are present in your body according to the 28-day cycle. This takes a bit of foresight and planning. I get that. So I know my cycle by tracking it with an app. And I want to give a shout out here to Alyssa Vitti, this book, In the Flow. It is amazing. It's changed my life because I've implemented what she suggests here. And she has an app. It's called My Flow app. I'll link it below, but it really helps to not only track your cycle, but inform what hormones are present during which cycle. So it's really, really, really an awesome app. I hope that it brings you a lot of ease and intrigue with this topic. And I'm really strategic about how I schedule. That's a really big thing for this container. What I say yes or no to on certain days has a lot to do with what the natural wisdom of my body is offering, how my brain is working according to my hormones. This has been life-altering for me. And I've had to ask my partner for support. I've had to have conversations with friends and coworkers about how I work and expect them to respect it. And I know this can be uncomfortable. A lot of people feel really squeamish about talking about menstruation and periods and these types of things. But this is a part of life, and there are more than half of the population who have female hormone cycles. So I'm really passionate about this. We currently live in a society where the male hormone cycle is the structure, and so those with that cycle, their body's optimized. Let's start changing that. Let's start normalizing conversations around the female hormone cycle and work accordingly as best as we can. And like I said at the beginning of this video, you don't have to have a female hormone cycle to benefit from this amazing way of working. You can still strategically lay out your life according to the seasons. It may or may not be with moon phases. It may be per month, however you want to do it. There is so much wisdom in this way of working. So in addition to this 28-day female hormone cycle, we are also existing in a year that consists of 4 seasons of nature. This adds even more layers and possibilities. So for example, menstruation or winter in the body, in the winter season of nature, is different than experiencing menstruation in the body in the summer season of nature. Same with ovulation. Ovulation, or summer in the body, is different in the summer season than it would be in the winter season of nature. This is about tuning in to the wisdom of nature, both within our bodies. Our bodies are literally a part of nature. We are nature, and within the seasonal influence outside. On top of the seasonal influence, our hormone influence, we also have the influence of lunar cycles and the moon. If we start layering these influences on our work style, the way we eat, the way we move, the way we rest, our moods, we start to experience more ease, less resistance, less butting heads with natural cycles, trying to push through, push into. There's so much wisdom here, so much. My membership platform, Science and Magic, is intended to explore earth cycles. We don't dive into hormone cycles on the platform, but we do dive into the influences of the moon, the seasons, and the current energies of the earth. I work with a team of amazing teachers. I have a neurological acupuncturist on the team, a Celtic shaman, a moonologist, and a whole team of yoga instructors, mindfulness experts, and intuitives. And they offer classes and content that help us to sync our nervous system with the cycles of the earth. If you are interested in not just learning about the earth cycles, but embodying them, check out our membership. I've included a link below this video. I find that there's so much information out there about these cycles, and it's really easy in some ways to learn about it and interesting. But what does it mean to actually apply the information? How can we start to experience ease by living in accordance with the rhythms of the earth? That is my intrigue and interest. The platform is specifically curated for high achievers. I know that choice fatigue is a thing, so I have done my best to eliminate choice fatigue, to curate the classes in several different ways. And I hope that you enjoy it. Be sure to like or comment on this video, share it with anyone who you think would find value in it. And thank you so much. Talk soon.